believe we stopped yesterday on page Ayin Gimel. And, okay, so we're going to see this. So what page Ayin Gimel says, it starts with the idea of the Shem Yichud. Let me go backwards a little bit. Let me go just back a little bit to the previous page. So we could try to get this. It says the Shem Yichud Kudsha Barichu Ushkinte. So we went through these with the Tiv. And B'dechilu Rechiba, and then he reverses the Rechima Dechilu. We had a long drush about how it is, the differences between these two, what they mean, besides Chitzonius and Panemius. And then he shows us the Shiluf, well, the Havaya Ekya, either the Havaya on the outside or the Havaya on the inside, and this would be Panemius or Chitzonius and Panemius. Then he goes on, the extension of that idea is the Yached Shem Yudke, which is Abba Ve'ima, Bevavke, which is Zun, B'Yehuda Shalim, with a complete and total oneness here. And he shows us what the oneness looks like, which is Yudke Vavke. So this is a kavanah to start with. Is that what you're trying to do is put all of this together? And then he says, B'Shem Kol Yisrael, and we have a little bit of a tiv on this to help us out. So it says, the Yachdei Shem Yudke, so that's number Kaf, that's the top one. He says, Abba Ve'ima Vavke, which is Za V'Nuk. Achra HaYichud Shal Abba Ve'ima, so we understand that this refers to the Yichud of Abba Ve'ima. B'yichud Panimi, b'yichud Chitzon l'tzorach yichud Za V'Nuk. So we had the first one, the Panemius is for the purpose of the Yichud of Abba Ve'ima, has to come first. So in your Kavanah, it has to be the first one. And then he said, but somewhere later on, he said that they take place at the same time. We'll see about that. V'ima b'yichud Panimi, b'yichud Chitzon l'tzorach yichud Zer Anpin V'Nuk. Oh, here's where he says it. So you have the concept here that you're going to do these two things together. So all of both of them, I guess this is your kavanah that you're going to do both, but Abba Ve'ima has to precede. That's what we have to do. And then after that, then you should have it should be necessary to have the kavanah to make the yichud shel shem havaya b'shlemos. That is the yud-k, and which is the first part. This is your kavanah and the vav-k. Shehu yichud shel shnechem yachad. So the idea is that these two yichudim take place at the same time, if that's possible to say. Because Havaya is always divided into two parts. Chetzi Arishon Shehu Yud and K, Roman Shal El Abba Ve'ima, that Yichud that's going to take place there. Chetzi Asheni Shehu Vav K, Romans Al Zun is a reference to Zun. This concept, so the only way so I guess there's a path through this, and he's not, like this phrase where he says, Shuhu yichud shel shnechem yachad, that phrase means that they're all taking place at the same time, but nonetheless, it seems that there has to be precedence, what happens in Abba Ve'ima first. So that's really precedence. But he says they take this, your Kavanah. Kavanah is to put them all together into one time. B'yachad im zer anpen v'nuk na'asa yedecha b'yichud shel osius yud-k. So that yichud depends on the yichud of yud-k. Shehem Abba, which are, Shehem Yud is Abba and K is Ima. And the osius Vav K, which is zer anpen for the Vav and K for the Nuk. And here's the kavanah, is that all of them really come together. Now it just looks like, it looks like on the page that you actually have a sequence, that you have Yud K and then you have a Vav K. He's saying we have to think about them happening at the same time. That's why I understand it. And as a result of that, Shefa comes all the way down. Now, number Kaf Aleph says, "Be Yichud Shalim," with a complete and total Yichud. And we have just a little bit here of the Shemitz Yachid, Osius Yudke, Osius Vavke. We put all this together. Shu Abba Ve'ima Bezer Anpin Vava Ima. The Abba Ve'ima inside of Zer Anpin, Na'asa Yichud Shel Kol Shem Havayach Nikri Yichud Shalim. So that's the idea. So then he has one more comment on that, and then we're going to be into a prayer. I think something, a little bit of a prayer here in a minute. Number Kaf Beis V'Shem Kol Yisrael, it says in the name of all of the Jews. So he says, V'Kol Yehudim, V'Cham V'Mitzvos Na'asim B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So all of the Yehudim that we make, which we just talked about, the big Yehud between the Yud K and the Vav K, all of this, Na'asim B'Shem Kol Yisrael, in the name of all the Jews. And as we understand, Ba'ava, Uva Achdos, and complete Achdos, he says, V'Kol Mitzvahs Na'asim B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So all of them, this is the idea, is we're incorporating all of the Jews. Shenichlalem Kol Yisrael Ayedera B'Mitzvahs via Avatar the Recha Kamocha Shebekabdi V'Decha Tefillah. So this idea that stated in the Siddur that we have to have this idea before we begin. That's brought over there. He says of a Sifrei Yira, so his book, he has a book called Yira. He says over there, and he gives a site written from Aaron, other different places. Now there was also a little note here in the Shefa. Let's see if I can understand it, and we'll go to the prayer that he's going to say. So I'm assuming that what we're looking at in this page is actually the way that it laid out, because we are going into the RASHASH Siddur here. Oh, we didn't get to that yet. So let's look at this play. I thought it was a prayer. Let's see how it goes here. He says after we have this concept that we're bringing everything into oneness, and also we have the concept that and this is for today, because today is we're on the verge of a tremendous light that's coming to us from Purim, according to everything that Rav is saying. So it's interesting that we fast before that. So he says, Hinei anachnu boim l'kayim mitzvahs haseh medivra kabbalah. The Kroos ba'arbach also the Chodesh Adar. So he puts that in brackets, because the actual prayer, I guess, is B'chamisha also l'Chodesh Adar as a Megillah, which is spelled as a Magalit. B'im kol hamitzvahs a galuyas ba. So this is like a little prayer here, I think. L'saken de'shasher b'makom elyon. Asher he sod ha'aras malchus, which is the secret of what? It's the secret of the light that comes from the malchus of Abba, hamizgalas v'yotze b'zecha b'yom hazeh, which is revealed and comes out on this day. Mispar shlosha shemas havaya havaya havaya. So it's really the count of these three, which is a gematria of 78. Shehem sod shlosha mochim dechoch b'bina das. So there's these three havayas, and it's not explaining it this 100% how it goes together, but he says these havayas represent the origin. Let's say, like from the Sifra Seditzniuta. So Shlosha Mochim Dehoch Bebin Das, that's what they represent. The Netzach Hod Yisod the Abba, and then you look at the Netzach Hod Yisod of Abba, Hamizgalim B'Malchut B'Yom Hazeh, which are revealed. All of this, that is nigh, all of this is shining in some way into his Yisod, into Malchus. Kedei la'asos nachas ruch liyotzreina v'la'asos ratzon bareina v'lesakin shorish mitzvah zu b'makom elyon, and the concentration is that there is a root in a higher place. V'ala l'vanecha v'ge'idecha v'kalvadecha v'kal kavanos ru'uyos v'kaven b'mitzvah zu, and then we have in the idea of all the kavanos, everything that would have to do with this mitzvah. Then he says, by this reading, Yizgala ha'aras ha'taras yisod the Abba chutz the yisod the nuk. V'gam yiskayim ha'aras ha'kedem v'ha'oros v'ha'mochim v'ha'naranchi. So going through the idea again, ha'aras, the radiance that's coming from the kelim. So going kol soma here, for ha'oros, which are on the deeper part of the kelim, then the mochim which surround them, and then the ranchi. I guess the ranchi is the lights themselves. The chamisha partzufim ma'u ben de Yaakov. So he went through what are the 5 partzufim. We know there are regular 5 partzufim. Ma'u ben. The question was about ma'u ben. Why ma'u ben? We're talking about the partzufim have 3 lines. And he explains that actually you could use the phrase ma'u ben. This is a translation, just learn to translate the RASHASH. Actually represents 3 lines, because it's the right line, the right side of the middle makes the ma. And then the left line, and the left side of the middle makes the ben. So therefore you have all of this is what we're saying, that this is the whole compilation of that. The Yaakov and Rachel, the Penimius, the Ak, this is Rachel, Yaakov and Rachel, the Penimius, the Ak, the Rabia, and also the Abia. So all of these details, what the RASHASH we see that he does, he wants to go into the detail of the detail, and possibly of the detail of the detail, and give you that idea that this goes on, something like that. Then he said, "V'hayedecha b'ma'asecha v'mitzvah azois shal mikra Megillah Yisukon kol b'chinas 6 kitzvos v'kol salmi levushi he achrona dechavaya," which is the nefesh. I'm going to go back over this hopefully. So he avaya, then let me read it. Called salmi levushi he achrona dechavaya, which is nefesh to call klalos atzilus bria yitzira v'shel call prati atzilus bria yitzira nasiya. So here he's showing us it's the definition of the definition of the definition. He goes back and he says the 6 kitzvos. Let's go back over to this. Let's read again. V'ayedecha b'ma'aser mitzvah azos shal mikra Megillah. So now we're reading the Megillah. So tonight you're going to be listening to reading the Megillah. Yisukon called b'chinas 6 kitzvos. So you see the b'chinas of the kitziv, which is the vok. They're called salmi levushe hey, and all of this phrase. He has a phrase here. Salmi levushe, the letter hey, achrona dechavaya. So just stop right there and just take a look at this phrase. We know what a tzalim is. And what this has to do with the levush of the letter hey, letter hey refers to bina. So I'm not sure exactly how that would go. That's all I understand about the salme levushe. This refers to malchus. It says the hey achrona. The chavavaya nefesh, the kol klalus atzilus. So we can get used to this idea where he's going to say in detail of the detail, where he says bria yitzira sira b'shel kol prati atzilus bria yitzira and asira, which all the different details, all it breaks down. So the fact is that you're speaking. Yisukon kol b'chinas deus v'kol salmi levushe vav. So he says that. So just have to see it in its totality to try to understand what he's trying to put together. So again, while by speaking, he says you make a tikkun in all of the peoples of the different aspects of das. That's my words about das. He says the deos, v'kol salmi levushe, and once again this phrase again, the salmi levushe, which is we understand the tzalim. So the concept of tzalim is the tzaddik tzalim goes into Zeron Pen, or goes in, I'm not sure where it's going, because he says involved the chavayim, and so he's going to progress through this. Called Sami Levushe the Chavaya, of the Levov the Chavaya. So there's some concept here of the tzalim as a levush of letters. So how that works, I don't know. So he said Vav the Chavaya, and he says, what is this Vav the Chavaya? It's a ruach to call klalos atzilus is the ruach. Remember, because Havaya is, or let's say the Vav represents Zeranpen, is a ruach. So it's ruach to call klalos atzilus. So this is the ruach. So if you looked at any of the worlds, whatever it is that we're understanding this to be, the Gavana, is the call klalos atzilus bri yitzira, and then he continues to use this, and then as you look at Atzilus, say for example, it has an Atzilus, it has an Asam, what's the right words? An Abiyah of itself, and so does Bria and Yitzir and Asira, and that's what he says. They're called Prate Atzilus Ba'osi Yitzir Asira, which brings us to the idea that if you say, for example, let's take the Olam Atzilus and it has an Abiyah, then you would see that in all of them would be every part of that would be an Abiyah as well, and Abiyah inside of the Abiyah, inside of the Abiyah, inside of the Abiyah. All that process is mashma from what we're hearing here. So Yidech Vayidecha Kavana Shecha the mitzvah zay. So now the Kavana to do this mitzvah, Zukan Kol Bechinas Bina. You're going to make a tikkun once again. So this is a tikkun in each one of the letters, he says, and it has some, and he's going to repeat the same line again, which I can't translate right now. Yisukan called Bechinas Bina, called Salmi Levush of the Levush letter Hey Rishona de Ravaya. So he said, well, Al Yedech Kavana, so you have a Kavana here that you're going to all. So what he means, what the translation of this phrase, Salmi Levushe, the letter Hey. That really tzarech in a little bit what he means by that, but at any rate, it's a levush, and it's a levush in the form of B'Tselem. Again, how that works, don't know. They said it's a levush hey rishon the Chavayis, and then you move to this. What does it bring in? It brings in the neshama, a deeper level of light. Shall call klalos atzilas bri yitzira, asiyah the called pratich atzilas bri yitzira, asiyah etc. The called parts of the sphera, the prata Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, and Asiyah. So it seems to me like this is looking at it in Ovi, and that the Ovi has an Ovi of the Ovi of the Ovi. It's saying something like that. You can go deeper and deeper into it. It's the pattern of being mashbiyah. So now he says by mind, by your seichel, using your mind. I'm not sure where this is going, but Yisukan called Bechinas Chochmah. This makes a tikkun because Chochmah goes with thinking, with mind. The called Salmi Levu once again, and this idea is that the machshava. Again, what does he mean by machshava? Before he was using the kavana, the word kavana. Now he used the word machshava. So by this thought, if you look at it, the highest possible origin of where the thought comes from, Yisukan called Bechinas Chochma, you make a tikkun in all the different aspects of Chochma. The called Salmi Levusha, and once again, this phrase again. The Salmi Levusha, the Yud Chavaya. So he says, it's a Yud Chavaya, and it's the Chaya, it's the light level of Chaya, Shekal Klalos Atzilas Bri Yitzira Sira, the called Prata Atzilas Bri Yitzira, the called parts of the Sphera, the Prata Atzilas Bri Yitzira and Asira. So we see that is what the RASHASH wants us to look at, is the spread, how it goes through the same forms, getting closer and closer to us. So all of this is hismatos of the light. So the light is becoming smaller and smaller through these refractions. By Yedecha B'Ru'usa the Liba, I guess the love in your heart, or the desire in your heart, Yisukan called Bechinas Keser. So this interesting that he said that in regards to the tikkun for Chochmah, and he's going to go into Keser, which is Yechida. He says that Yisukan called Bechinas Keser for called Salmi Levusha. So this is Ra'usa the Liba, the heart's desire. So that is, you want the desire to reach the ultimate height. Yisukan called Bechinas Keser. You're going to make a tikkun then, in all the different aspects of Keser, but called Salmi Levusha Kutz Yud, and all of the Tzlomim. And this, once again, if you got a definition, give it to me. But what he means by it is, we're talking about a lavush, so of a letter. And what in this particular case, when you're talking about Keser, you're only talking about the kutz of the yud, the little top part, the chavaya, the chavaya. And this is the concept. This is the light which is known as yechida. It's interesting is that the lights get brighter in our sense. They're becoming more and more ethereal in the actual sense, because the kutz of the yud is just very intangible. It's not really seen completely. So he said, Yehuda, the call Klaus Atzilus, this comes from all the Klaus of Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, and Asir. The shall called Prata Atzilus, again the Bri, Yitzir, and Asir. The called parts of the Sphira, the Prata Atzilus, Bri, Yitzir, and Asir. So it goes all the way through everywhere, this same concept. So he says again, their light being refracted as it's going into the details, as it spreads out. So he's really getting into the spread out. And this leads us. Now we took each one of the letters and each one of them has its own tikkun. He calls it the Tzalmi Levush. He says Arba Osius Avaya Shehem Nefesh Ruach and the Neshama, which are Nefesh Ruach and Neshama. Chai Yechidach of the Klaus of Apratos and Silas that go into the general concept, and then all the different parts of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiyah, B'Yehuda Shalim, and this is what it's going to look like this. So we heard his language. We still need help with his language, but what he means by Tzalmi Levushi. There's a lot of noise in the background. Can I call you back?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call you right back. Okay, let's see. Where is he? How do I do this? Over here. There we go. Okay, I'm back. I hope it's gone. So what we just looked at, there was the name Yud-K Vav-K. We went through the Tzalmi Levushi on every single one of these letters. And he starts to set some details about it. Vihi Kisei Shalom. And when this case takes place, you have the complete Havaya. Then the Kisei is complete. Now, usually the Kisei refers to Olam HaBriya. Asher Bavo Yispashet Shefa or Ein Sof, and that into that Kisei is the light of the Ein Sof, then will flow through there. And he shows that the Shulaf, this is what we mean. What we mean when we say that these two opposite forces, Abba and Ima, come together, Chochmah and Bina, they look like this. So the light, well, the way I think about it, the best I can think about it, is that the light is behind, it's the white part that's in between the letters, that's behind the letters, shining through the black part, which is the Hismatus of the light of Abba Ve'ima. And then it says V'yisyachadach Tiferes of Malchus, and then that will lead to the Yichud of the Vav and the K, which will lead you to the Zivug Shalim B'Shem, and here is another Shalim, B'Chavaya and Adni. So he's putting those together, and this is the light shining through this formation of lights. It's the Kavana. Okay, so then he finishes out in Misham. So now that you've put these shaluvim together, and they came to the name Yud-K Vav-K. He said, Misham yumshach shefach of a bracha b'kol ha'olamas hakadoshim l'zakech nafshenu. So he says that this process of looking, he has three different lights here. He says one is the Havaya, one is the Vaya Eki, and now is the Havaya Adni. He said, by looking at those or by thinking about those, the zakek nafshenu, it'll come out to bring some kind of a purification or a clearing of our souls. Ruchenu v'nishbasenu, all of our naran. So that why? Because all of this concentration is to arouse mayim nukvid, v'lachamshech or min mayim dochurim. This is all that we want to do in this Megillah reading. V'al Ya'akev shum chet v'avon v'hirchu ra. So don't let this hold you back. That's the way I see it. Chet, avon, hirchu ra, as a mitzvah does. Don't let anything interfere with it. V'ta'ala the ratzon the reich nekoach nifnecha Hashem elokeinu v'nevaseinu. V'birchas shehechiyonu. Now I come to hechiyonu. Shehechiyonu anato mekunim. Mekuvanim al-Ptor gam as a mitzvah shen'asa b'yom HaPurim. So we want to say that, let me read again. When you say the Shehechiyanu, according to this, to the Rashash, you should have a kavanah in time to the Ptor gam as a mitzvah shen'asa b'yom Purim, all the rest of the mitzvahs. Like, for example, Matanas Davyonim, Mishluch Monos, all of that. You don't make a bracha on that. The Shehechiyanu is like opening up a new door. I could say like that. the Sudas Purim, all of those things. And all of these things now are going to be in the new, as you enter into this new door, which we understand is the light of Hashem. V'yihi Noam Hashem, so the pleasantness of Hashem, Elokeinu, Aleinu should be on us. Ma'aseh Yedenu Konano, Aleinu, so that what we do with our hands, I'm not sure what he means, Mitzvahs Amaisim, Ma'aseh says, Ma'aseh Yedenu Konanehu, and he repeats that idea. So now we still have some time, a little bit of time. You said what time to 6:35? 6.
Yeah.
6:35. Okay. So now here's the bracha he wants to say on Mikra Megillah. So he says bracha on Mikra Megillah. So here is the magic word. That's the way I look at it anyway. That's the way I would like to look at it. I could look at it this way. In the shul, I'm always, it's hard for me to concentrate on this because of everybody's racing along. So he says on Baruch is a magic word. And when you say this word, it's L'hamshech Shefa Mekeser Elyon. And he's going to give us a definition. One of the good things about the RASHASH is that he says something that's ununderstandable, and then he shows you a picture of it. So try to understand that. So he said, L'hamshech Shefa Mekeser Elyon. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stream Shefa from the very highest place. The base is Ivugi Chagat Da'atek, two different kinds of Ivugim, Yehudim, that are going to take place. One is in the Chagat Da'atek, and the other one is the Chagat of the Eric Anpin. So first question would be, why the Chagat? But I keep thinking that Rabbi Mimran said, don't ask why. And I'm thinking the more that I go into the RASHASH here, I see that probably asking why is a big mistake. But there is a pattern here. But I think you have to learn a lot, see a lot of RASHASH to see his patterns. So the first thing is he wants to talk about the Zivug Panimi. We're saying the word Baruch. It's out loud. We said it. And this, as a result of that, it leads to a yichud of Havaya, of Akia Havaya, which is the Havaya, once again, is on the inside. And we're talking about over there where, and this goes on the Chabad of the Chagat Da'atek. This is the top part. So that's the first idea. A Zivug Chitzon at the same time, which is this time was the Yud is on the outside. Is the Nai v'Chagat, that's for the other two parts. Nai v'Chagat the Chagat. And then he's going to repeat the same thing for Eric Anpin. And this is the definition, what he says, of these combination of letters, which refers to Shefa Mekeser Elyon. This is the Shefa that's coming from the Keser Elyon. So he says a Zivug Panimi, and he shows once again of Eric Anpin, and we talk about the Chabad of Eric Anpin, the Chabad of the Chagat, because what he does, what the RASHASH seems to be doing, is he takes the Chabad Chagat Nai, or any part of it, and he shows that it's a partzuf by itself. So I'm not sure what the purpose of this is, or what is the toelis. I'm not sure how to deal with it, but let's say what is it about Chagat anyway? So Chagat is the beginning of the Zat. So when you talk about Atek Yomim, all we know about Atek Yomim really is the Zat, which begins with the Chagat. So don't know exactly how it goes like that. Just trying to language it out. So then we have the Ziva Panimi, which is Ekya Havaya, that goes in Chabad, and Zivug Chitzon, which is the Havaya Ekya, that refers to the Naya Chagat of the parts of called Chagat. Chagat is the Zer Anpin of the beginning of the Zer Anpin. This is the top of it. So then he goes on and says, that's what you're doing. We say the word Baruch. Now all of this that's flowing out of this is all going to come from the word Baruch. So he says, Yekavin lahamshach shefa mezivug benimi dechava dama uben the Eric Anpin. So we're going to bring the shefa on the panemius because it's verbal. The chaga of the chava dama uben the Eric Anpin. And it's for the purpose of the zivu panimi the chaba dema uben the abba ve'im v'yasa. So that's where we're going to stream it into the same pattern, which Rabbi Memran used to say that the directions have to match, which I like to say the DNA has to match. So he says that it goes from Mezivug Apanimi the Chabad the Ma'u Ben the Eric Anpin. So we got down to Eric Anpin, and now we're now going down, streaming down through his Chabad. Mezivug Panimi the Chabad the Ma'u Ben the Abba Ve'ima V'Yasa. So we want to stream the whole thing down into Abba Ve'ima and Yasas. Let's look a little bit more. So he said this is what the Shefa of Ma looks like. So the Shefa of Ma that's coming, as we was talking about the stream, we're at the beginning of the Mississippi River, and this is where it's bubbling out, and it's the pure juice, which is the Shefa of Ma, which is Asmab. Plus, and they're going into Malchus, the Havaya. Now, the next part, I would say I don't understand 100%, because on the first part, and I know that Rabbi Memran always said like this, it should be, the way that this should be kasa kasa kamag kana. But instead, the Rashash only puts kasa and kana and kamag. So there is a reason for that, and I don't remember it, or I don't have it in my hand. I guess whatever reason, it's 4 versus 2, and then the final is that this ekya appears in Malchus. That's the best I could say. Where we had the Mal is that the Havaya appears in Malchus. That's what's I can understand. So he says that once you've done this, this is Abba Ve'ima now. V'lahamshek achar kach the Yisod the Abba Ve'yasas. And then the other side is V'lahamshek achar kach the Yisod the Ima V'tevuna Shaba. And to bring it into Ima, into her, or Ima, and she's saying Ima V'tevuna, bringing them, saying them both together. And he said, I didn't count this up. I didn't have time, but I've counted up a bunch of times, but I don't remember what its gematria is. I should take some time and do that, but I didn't. But this is what actually is mushpa. This is what is actually flowing down this set of aleph. Then it says KK. Then it has a yud, and then it has KK again. So how this works, I don't know. But that's what's coming down. So he says this coming down, or that combination that we just saw, for the purpose of the hamshech shefa mezivuk chitzonius, the abba ve'iba v'yasos gimel mab umiluehem. So once again, all of this that we're doing is the cause hamshech shefa, from the yikud of the zivuk hitzonius to Abba ve'ima ve'yasos. So he's putting the two of them together. So just to look at it as Abba ve'ima. So he says, in this case, you could say that Abba ve'ima Eloyan are Abba, and Yisrael Saba Devuna represent Bina. You could say that too. So he says, Lahamshech shefa mezivuk hitzonius to Abba ve'ima. So how do we get to the shefa hitzonius? I thought the Chitzonius had to do with Maisa. But he says it's going to the outside of Ava Ve'ima V'Yasos, that parsaf, Gimel Mab, Imiluehem, and their mil. So this is another set of lights coming down. Let's look at it. So first of all, he says this is a yichud that took place between Abba Ve'ima. Abba Ve'ima make a yichud, this comes out. What comes out? So the first part, the first column on the right, actually, there's two different parts here. The first column on the right represents the oros. So you have the makif and the panimi. And then you have the makif and kabini on the right line. Then you have on the far opposite side the makif and the panimi on the left line. These are the oros themselves. And then you have the split makif and panimi also on the middle line. Then the next thing it does is it goes into the count of 42. Now we know that 42 is the gematria, and this particular one is a very high level because it's the 42 of Av. So he says that this goes like this. First of all, there's a Havaya Peshuta, then there's the Milui, and then is the Milui of the Milui. That is 42 letters for each one of these, and the first one would be Av, the next one, this one on the far left would be Sag, and the one in the middle would be Ma. So these are the 3 sets of 42 lights that are once again streaming what? They're streaming downwards, but they're mobs. So their point is to lift everything up. So that's the best I know about them. So they're going on. Number Kaf Gimel, we have perhaps a little respite here where we have a Tiv over here to try to help us out. So he's a Gam Yakavi Baruch. The word Baruch, and this is an idea, is a gematria Ryo. It's a gematria of 216 plus 12. So it's Osius of this is the let me read it again. So when you say the word Baruch, is another gematria, another combination that you could think of is the gematria of Ryo and Yud Beis Osius, the Kolel, because there are Yud Beis Osius over here, and it's Kolel. The Shloshach of Bavayas, the Yud Gimel Chivarte, and what is our Kavanah? Where do we go start here? Is that in fact there are 13 different streams of white light. The Yud Gimel Nimim, and then there are also the bundles of hairs on the head of Eric Anpen. Ukeneged Yud Gimel Tikun Diknach Gazeh, and also why he says Ukeneged, corresponding to those two, they flow into the Yud Gimel Tikun Azer Anpen. Now it looks like this in a Milui form. It says Yud K Vav K. That's all Avs. Yud K Vav K, all Avs again. And then Yud K Vav K in Milui, all in Av again. And there are 12 letters there. Okay, that's where it stops, and we have now a little chef at the bottom. The chef at the bottom, I think I skipped this chef, but that's the way it goes. This is our last shiur for Purim, and I hope with your permission that we could start in that sefer wherever I have it. I don't know where it is. On Pesach. So I have.
Yeah.
So yeah. And what I'd like to do there is every year that we come around to Pesach, I forget, the Kavanos. I forget them. So it's like it's nice. It's like a new start. But I thought that what I want to do is that when we're reading the Rav is to just read the top part of the Rav as much as I can, just to familiarize myself with all the details he's talking about. But then I tried this, and then I got to the third drush. And the third drush was much harder for me to understand without going into, and that's why I thought we'd start just doing the simplest possible on the first 2 drushes, and then the third drush we may have to sit into that a little bit and the fourth one also. That's as far as I got in my review. So anyway, we're in Purim. So he says, and on the phrase, Gam Yikavin Baruch, this word Baruch is the gematria of Ryo. Now, we haven't really explored Ryo as much as we like to, which is Ryo is also composed of these three Havayas. And it's composed of 3 Avs. So it is a Gevura. It's a sweetened Gevura. And then there's a thing that you see in the RASHASH, does this all the time, is he takes it, and then he takes the letters. I feel like it's almost like male and female. Like the letters hold the light of the Ryo. You put them together, and you get the gematria of the word Baruch. The Shloshach of Havayas, the Yud Gimel Chivarte, and once again, this is we're thinking about the 13s that come along with the Chivarte, and the 13 which comes along with the bundles of hair, the Keneged Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, and also flowing, I guess, into the Dikna. So a Nes Purim B'chu Sheyisod the Abba Bokeo Meir B'chutz, and we've said this many times, and this is features of coming attractions tonight. Commotion is Bar Baruch, that we explain this in detail. Umirim Gimel Shemus Avaya Shal Nai the Abba, and so we see that we're shining here. These Gimel Avayos, which represents the Nai of Abba. V'kan boim l'kavim al shorsham u'makorim shel Gimel Shemus Avaya elu. So now we want to look at where did these 3 Avayas come from originally. Shuhu mishloshach Avayos shel Chivarte, because they're from the 3 Havayas of this white stream, these 3 streams of Havayas of white light. which and then the shel chivarti, then nimim, also the bundles of hairs that transport the light as well downwards. The dikna shel Erik Anpin, and the beard of Erik Anpin, where all the channels of light are flowing. And he says, "Avenir mezuchu b'tevas baruch shuhu gematria rakoch," which is, it's an interesting way to say that he say there's no base in rakoch, but that's anyway. It's the baruch. Well, this is the way he writes it. It's 228. V'kola b'silcha gematria rayo. So you could look at this like this. That actually is composed of 372s plus the count of their letters. Im od yud base. So through this, if you can remember this, through this is that the word baruch, this is how you could break it down, and that baruch therefore is going to refer to these three streams of light. And then there's another 12. Romzim al Yud Beis Osius Sheyesh Begimel Shemus Avaya Pashtusam. This is reference to the 12 different letters that you find in these letters, so that we find in these words. V'hakolu shal milas baruch. So then also take the word baruch, throw in the kolel, go along with it. Aromas al gimba tikkun dikna. It becomes a reference to the tikkunim of the dikna. Now that was the magic word baruch. Maybe we should look at it just in a gross kind of way. Now just look at the magic of the word baruch. Is that you're releasing these mochim, which are in the first set of depictions here, of the Chavaya Ekyus, going through the very top place that we could recognize, which is the Chagat of Atik, down to the Chagat of Erik Anpin. And then you have the Shefa down to the 3 lines. He calls it 2 lines, or he has 2 different things. The Shefa Ma, like I said before, he has a definition of Ma Uben, which is not just 2, but actually represents 3, or perhaps 4, even if you want to look at that like that. And these are the lights that are flowing out of that. And then he says they're flowing, and then you have the Chavayan and the Ekya. So exactly what that represents what's going in. Then he has a shilov down below, or a special writing of the names of this name. It's really Ekya, and so he has double olives. There's an olive, a double haze. He has a yud by itself, and another set of double haze. So exactly how that works, or what's supposed to be, and I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but I didn't add it up. Again, I've added it up a bunch of times, and I got it in different places. So then he says, then we're going to try to bring the Hamshak Shefa Bezivu Kitzonis to Abba Ve'ima. So this is all the Shefa that you're looking at here. The Shefa is the light, which is the Pneumius of the whole thing. And then you have the Pashut, the Mole, and the Mole, in 3 different sets of 42s. All of this is the power of rising it up. So together, so we have another Kavanah here that he brings in at the end as another, throws in the idea that in Baruch, you also have the concept of Rayo plus 12 letters, and he shows that to us. And that's what he showed us in the first part. So hopefully in Halavai that we'll find some other places to look at the Rashash, and not in the distant future, or the not so distant future. So he says, and now you say the word Ata, another magic word. So you say this word, and all of this that comes down below us is going to come out of this word. So when you say the word Ata, Yuvizivuk Panimi, the Abba Ve'ima, this is now you move to Abba Ve'ima. And so Yamshech Asmab, we're going to take the Asmab, and here is a picture. You could see the Asmab. Let me read it out before I go to the picture. So he says Yamshech Asmab, and also, which is something of V'chamisha Chesadim Abba V'yasas. So the parts of Abba V'yasas is going to be Mamshech this. So you said Mezivu Panimi, the Abba Ve'ima, Yamshech Asmav, V'chamisha Chesadim Abba Ve'ima. So all of this together. So here is the Yichud of Abba Ve'ima, starting with Ima to Abba. And then he says, and here is the Asmav. All of these lights are the Miluyim of the 4 different Miluyim. And along with it, and he says, where did this come from? Chamisha Chesadim Abba V'yasa. So from the right side, it's coming out of there. So these are the 5 Chesadim. Then it goes down, and it goes, where is it going? It's going to Yisod the Benimi de Ima. v'tavuna. Again, he writes them both together. Shabo, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod. I'm not sure I really understood that inside of Ima Tavuna, in their Yisod, is also going to be Tiferes, Netzach, and Hod, the 9. So he says, what's streaming? So he's streaming. You have Kasa, then you have Kana, Kasa, Kana, and then you have Kamag. This is what's streaming down out of the Yisod, goes into Ima. I don't know if it changes into an Ekya there. I'm not sure exactly how that goes. Go on to the next part. So he Misham, and from that place, so now you got down to the Yisod of Ima, the Yisod of Penimi, the Penimi part of it. Misham Yamshech Hakol Alamalchus, and from Ima, everything is going to go from Ima directly into Malchus. Let me read again. Misham Yamshech Hakol Lamalchus De'ima V'Tavuna. So I said that wrong. Esther, different from what I had thought, he says that Esther is definitely the Malchus of Bina. So just like Abba is the Malchus of Abba, He says that Shabo Tiferes Netzachod Yisachod v'Chamisha Gevuros. So here, this is what you actually have. You have the Chamisha Gevuros, and then you have the Kana, the Kasa, the Kana, and the Kamag. I'm not used to saying those words. So all of that is flowing. It's flowing downwards. It's flowing downwards with these mobs, and we're going to see some more mobs. So he says Yikavin Lahamshech. So now he says this is what the kavanah you should have. This is, if you could see this enough, maybe you get used to what the seder, the kavanos are. The kavin the hamshek mab the ab. So now here with this again, this power of upward movement. You're going to bring this down umiluyev along with its milui. Now that's a little thing that I wonder about. I'll go through it again. I'll go through it in the picture in a minute. Milui im nachi. The Chaya, which would be the highest level of the light called Chaya, but this Chaya appears in the Ruach of the Ruach. So get used to that phrase. He says, Im Nachi the Chaya, that's the highest level of light of the level of light called Chaya, but that Chaya which is inside of the Ruach, which is inside of a Ruach. This is the language of this is how the RASHASH speaks. He wants us to think about this in depth, and that's what it seems like. So then he shows us the Oros, the same pattern in the 42. The Oros in some way are fitting into this 42. So the 42 he once again is of Av. That's right, is of Av. And then he does something which I don't understand its power or what it's supposed to try to do, is he takes just the milui itself. He does this several different places. So he says so if you went for the Keser and then Chochmah, and as it's spreading down and going through Bina, there are more letters and you see how they look. And along with them, though, just comes the milui itself. So I'm just going to say, make something up. I'm going to say, I'm trying to understand why the milui would be added on to the 42. So I'm thinking that the milui represents the Kli. So the basic idea, the Penimius, is going to be the Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. But that Yud-Ke Vav-Ke also has a wrapped around it, maybe that goes around with that Selam, the Lavushi, of the letters. But in some way, I think it could be a Lavush. That's all. So all of this, so these lights are flowing, and where are they flowing to? Let's see, we're out of time. It's 6:36.
Yeah. 6:36.
Okay, we're done. We're out of time. Very interesting learning the RASHASH. It's not as frightening for me. Usually that where the RASHASH is located is very, very hard. I don't know, there's always kinds of wavelengths to be able to understand what he's doing. It's a big, big subject. But I'm not as frightened as or bothered by it as I used to be, and I thank God for that. So anyone who's listening to this SHIUR should have a wonderful PURIM. And remember that there's a tremendous light that's being revealed right now, and join it and enjoy it the whole day.